Hey, this is Austin from Waterparks and all your other favorite bands too, and you are listening to the Rock Sound Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Rock Sound Podcast. I'm Will Cross, Junior Editor of the magazine. Thank you so much for subscribing over the past 3 weeks. It's been absolutely insane. We broke world exclusives last week with Andy Biersack. It was crazy. Joining me, as always, Tamsin Wills.
Hiya!
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Will?
I'm very, very good. Yes, things are going swimmingly.
They are, aren't they? Going very, very well. We couldn't be more happy.
Absolutely. And Mr. Jack Rogers.
Hello, Will.
How are you?
I'm very well. It's been a bit mental this week, hasn't it?
It actually has. It feels like everything's stepped up about a billion gears.
It's all because of Andy Biersack.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to Chris Biersack, though.
The old self-proclaimed old geezer.
Yeah, the self-proclaimed old geezer of it, who's helped us in more ways than one to keep this push this podcast a bit more. But shout out to Knucklepuck as well.
Oh, big time.
They've been doing it, and it was really awesome to see the reaction of people getting excited about that album as well.
Yeah, chatting to Kevin about the ins and outs of Shapeshifter was so cool. Like to chat about Third Eye Blind, and Talk About Sunday and Brand New, all those bands was so cool. So shout out Mr. Biersack, shout out Mr. Mader, shout out Chris Biersack as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like this week, I think the interviews are going up another notch.
I think so. So we've already got a bit of a bumper episode today, in that we're going to be running 3 completely different interviews, as well as all the extra features and everything going on. So it's going to be pretty crazy. So coming up, we've got an absolutely mental interview with You Me at Six frontman Josh Franceschi, who poured his heart out, really. Chatted to me for a long time about all things that have been going on with the band, all things that have been going on since the release of Night People at the start of the year. And some very difficult and close to the bone things as well, which was very brave of him to talk about. So we've got that coming up. We've got the return of one Miss Tay Jardine in SAINTE, who came to join us. Absolutely insane. We had a chat before we saw her at the debut London show for SAINTE. That was brilliant. We'll talk about that later. But we chatted all things SAINTE, her time away, and how good it feels to be back. And then finally, we've got the absolute world exclusive.
I'm so excited for this.
This is ridiculous.
Dallon Weeks, bass player of Panic at the Disco, and much adored by all of you out there. His secret project, I don't know how, but they found me. We've gone and got the world exclusive.
We got the man.
We did. We got him.
We got the man.
We're going to be speaking to Dallon all about that and revealing everything that project is and what's to come. So, going to be insane.
What a show, Will.
What a show. It's so exciting. We haven't even begun. Yeah, awesome. So to kick off, then we'll start off easy. The news. So Sleeping with Sirens picked, of course, their new song Legends for Team USA in the road to the Winter Olympics. They played that for the team at this year's Teen Choice Awards. There's been the debut video from the fictional band from American Satan, the film starring Andy Biersack. It's called Let Him Burn. It features a ton of new footage of the new film. That's going to be coming out in October. Stay tuned for lots more on that film and some words from Mr. Biersack on that. And then The Fever, Jason Butler from Let Live's new project. We've talked about them a lot already, but they finally released their debut track. It just drops out of nowhere. It's called We're Coming In. It's pretty insane, and there's heavy rumours that Travis Barker of Blink-182 played drums as well. I personally love it. It's angry. There's loads of swearing. It sounds a bit like old school Rage Against the Machine. It's angry. I love it. Tamsin, what are you saying?
I mean, this is just you fangirling for about 3 minutes, isn't it?
We're not going to make it that.
I can just picture when you heard it and you just sort of like heart eye emojiing.
Yeah.
I was there when he saw it first time.
I really hope that you recorded his reaction.
It's in my memory. It's there for a long time.
In your brain.
Because it popped when we were like when we were all out having a drink last week, and Will just like scrambled to get his headphones and was just like, "Oh, nuts! I just need to hear it." And then just watching his face go from like like a little smirk. You know, like the Cheshire Cat out of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
It just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then like your head started moving.
Oh yeah.
And then suddenly it was like you were hypnotized for 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I think though as well, like with the song, obviously a lot of people know Jason Butler from Let Live.
Yep.
And I think if you were a fan of Let Live, you are going to like this. I don't think it's like too far away from what Let Live did for you to like fans to be like, oh my god, what is this? Like I think Let Live fans are going to really enjoy it, but there's a lot. It's really angry. There's like big riffs. It's just a really, really big song. It's a big song, first song to come out with as well.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
It feels a bit like an intro track as well, in that I feel like this is almost like the calm before the storm, in that this is kind of announcing who the Fever are and what they're about, and then out of nowhere soon I feel like something else is going to drop.
Calm before the storm. It's like saying that a hurricane's coming for a thunderstorm.
Oh no, I know. I mean,
Like,
that's true. That's true. But you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
this is us. But like, I feel that I have this feeling there's more to come.
I mean, they didn't start off quiet, did they? They played their first show in the parking lot of a donut
Yeah,
shop.
on top of a van.
On top
like,
of a
yeah,
van.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's
yeah.
quite a statement to make as like your debut anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So.
My favourite part of that show was John Feldman spending $300 on donuts
Oh,
for
yeah.
everyone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Jason was just
Why
like,
wasn't I
yo,
there?"
John, pay the man.
Amazing.
He's just like,
So
I need
good.
to go and play a show, John.
Yeah. So more when we get that, and Jason, you want to talk to us? Talk to us. We want to know everything. Real Friends have also started writing album number 3. Paris are playing and doing a signing at the Hippodrome in Kingston in the UK on release day. So this time next week for their new album. And stay tuned for next week because we are going to be speaking to a Miss Gun on album release day. So that's going to be awesome. And to finish off this week's news, Wage War, their album Deadweight, has increased sales by 268% compared to their debut album Blueprints, which is mad. That is mental.
That's a really high percentage.
Yeah, crazy.
It's a percentage which doesn't actually exist.
There's also that.
Like, what,
It's
yeah,
that
but,
good.
but that's how good it is
Yeah.
that you can't be better than 100%, but they've doubled that and then added another 68. Like, that's how well it is.
Oh, yeah, for
like,
sure.
It's actual mental for a metalcore band to be able to achieve that in this climate.
Huge achievement, man. Like, I think it's testament as well that if you write a good album, you know, that resonates, then you will do well. And I think that's awesome. So, and also stay tuned on that because we're going to be speaking to frontman Britton Bond all about that and working with Jeremy McKinnon on the album next week as well. So
We've got it all.
we're spoiling you guys. Yeah, amazing. So we'll kick off then. We'll get straight to it, right? Interview number 1, Josh Franceschi. So when I picked up the phone to Josh, I wasn't really sure what to expect, you know, because you know, you and me have been doing bits and bobs since Night People came out at the beginning of this year, but like, it's not been totally clear what they've been doing. They haven't been super busy, and it's all gone a bit quiet as of recent. So I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. And I picked up the phone to him, and Josh, just absolute top guy, just chatted to me for ages about everything that's going on. He was so honest about what's been going with that band and how they feel about that album now it's been out there for, you know, 7-8 months. Man, like, I don't really know what to say. I think you should listen to it and then we'll chat about it afterwards. But yeah, this was one of the most eye-opening chats I think I've ever done. So, Mr. Josh Franceschi from You Me at 6, here we go. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We've been really excited about it, so I really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. I'm always here to chat to you, Rock Sound, so thanks for having me. Should be a laugh.
Pleasure, man. Let's kick off with Reading and Leeds coming up. I've heard that's kind of going to be the beginning of the end of the Night People cycle. So I just wanted to kind of get into that and kind of wonder what the thinking behind that was. Is it because just so many new ideas are kind of already flowing?
I think ultimately, you know, we're looking at our band a little bit differently, and we're not looking at stuff as, you know, the sort of rock and roll or the guitar band way of doing things is, you know, putting out a record, touring it for 18 months, 2 years, going away and making a new record and coming back again. Whereas we went away once and we're not going to go away again. We're already writing at the moment with the aspirations that we'll have a new record done by the spring of next year. That's obviously in a dream case scenario, but you know, we haven't in between touring. We've been in the studio, and when we've been on doing festival season and been on the road, we've actually been taking a rig out with us as well. So the Night People era for us is kind of, the way of looking at it coming to an end at Reading is also kind of a nice thing for us, because it's not been the easiest period of time for lots of different reasons. So I think we're looking forward to sort of putting that behind us, taking a few things from it and moving forward. But constantly trying to, as I said, when we were between Cavalier Youth and Night People, I think the whole time we were touring Cavalier Youth, we didn't write any music at all. So much so, I don't think I didn't pick up a guitar for about 2 years. So I think, with this sort of part of our band's sort of career now, it's just sort of constantly writing, whether it be on laptops or on guitars or whatever, just always making music. So feeling ambitious and feeling like we're definitely on course to achieve some of our goals in terms of new music and when people can hear that, because we don't want our fans to wait like they did 3 years between Cavalier and Night People. I'm sure you would agree that the whole landscape of how people consume music now is so different to how it was even the last time we put out a record. We can believe how much things have changed. The rules have changed completely, but it's also kind of exciting because there's little to no limitations as to how you can to feed your fan base what they want and the music they want, and you can really deliver it. You don't have to just think of the formula of we've got to make an album. We're not even really necessarily looking at that. We're just thinking, how can we give our fans some great songs, in the next few months before the end of the year. So that's our target at the moment.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, in terms of sound, like how the new idea is sounding? I mean, is there any kind of overlap with Night People, or is it completely different?
No, I think one thing that U-Mystics have done for a while, maybe up until even Cavalier, was always like slower and steady transitions musically from like one record to the next and how we were evolving. But I think because we wrote so much for Night People and we're writing so much at the moment that we're not really thinking about a necessary sound. We're just thinking about, does the song on its own, if it was an island, does it sound good? I think with Night People, we spent so much time trying to make a body of work where every song really made sense together. Sometimes I think we overlooked necessarily whether or not the songs might have made sense to the group, but were they standout songs in their own? Like if you chuck them in a set with all of our other songs that are popular within our fan base, are these songs going to beat them or replace them? And a few of them have, but a lot of them haven't really. So I think, just trying to write. We're trying to take all of the elements that we believe that is important to us as a band and what we're about, and also, what we believe. People that like our band like about us, and just trying to do that and produce that without necessarily compromising our agenda. Like we're not just going to we're never going to write songs that we literally wrote 5-6 years ago and just try and repeat them because we saw success from it, because that would be cheating the fan base and moreover would be cheating us. But we're just trying to take the elements of our band that we believe are good and just try and make them better and better, and which makes it exciting because we have no idea where it's going to go. But that's kind of maybe my main reservation, or when I look back at it, the main thing that I don't think we did very well with Night People. And I think there's nothing wrong with making mistakes as long as you're willing to check your ego and learn from them. But I think that the one thing that we did on Night People is we just sort of set ourselves down our own path and kind of didn't really think about other factors that would be important. And maybe I think ending the cycle of Cavalier where we did, being at the O2 and being at the main stage at Isle of Wight and all these things, like I think when you have then after those such highs, if you don't necessarily have as smooth a next move and next transition with what you do musically as a musician, it's like it's good because it sort of re-energizes and resettles and gets your focus back. And I think, as I said, internally we've had some dramas with this cycle. I feel like every time we put out a record, something bad has to happen within our team internally, and I'm waiting for to be able to do an interview and just be like, everything's been fucking great. We haven't had to battle for everything. We're not in court, whatever it might be. So I think we needed that almost to realign us and not give us our hunger back, because we've always been very hungry. But maybe I think it was just all too much this time around. I don't think we managed to deliver what we wanted to. So just looking forward to the future, man, because I feel very confident there's a lot in the tank. And of course we have that massive slot at the Reading and Leeds Festival, which, our main goal has always been, when we were a band, to one day headline the festival. And this just feels like we got offered the exact same slot we've had before on the main stage, which was third from top, and we wanted a new challenge. We wanted something that didn't make it just feel like people had seen that same set, but a few years later. So we've gone with this one, knowing that we were going to clash with all the other headliners, and knowing that we have to put on a show that, sort of alludes to the fact that we deserve to be there. So that's exactly what we're putting together at the moment. For any U-Music fans listening to this podcast who are coming to the Reading or Leeds, I would say that this is not the kind of set that you want to miss out on. We're getting excited about it for sure.
Wow, I mean, can you reveal anything for the fans at all, or is it all top secret?
I think our main thing, other than conversations we've got with other friends that are either on the bill or aren't the bill about doing some cool collaborations, is mainly the fact that we're bringing our arena headline show into a tent, and I think that in itself will be something that people should be wanting to see. We're not just going in with a backdrop and just playing our songs, we're going in with a show. And I think, a lot of our friends bands that have become great live bands who've been doing it for a long time alongside us, they have the same ethos that we have, which is every chance you have a moment to make a point for yourself and what your band's about, just spend all the money. So as usual, we're just spending all the money. It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good classic U-Music show with some bells and whistles, and hopefully, as I said, trying to work out different people joining us throughout the weekend. So we'll see how that all comes together.
So, I mean, to be ending the cycle on these, really amazing things, and then to be going into writing again on the new album, does it feel like generally much more positive process in general?
It does now. We found ourselves leaving our management company the same week our album came out. And so we self-managed ourselves for quite a key part of the year, really, which was very straining on the few of us in the band that really took it on, but straining on all of us as a group. And we just spent more time in the room with our lawyer than we would have liked to. But I feel like now we've got a great new management company who has been in the game for a long, long time, and I just sort of I've done a good job at rebuilding, mainly us mentally, to be honest. Which there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and actually I feel like it's not stuff that we'd ever reveal, because I feel that it's important that the fans of any bands, of course, have a connection with their fans and vice versa. But I also don't see how it makes us any more of an attractive prospect for them to enjoy if they know that actually there's been all this bad shit and what's gone on and all that sort of stuff. But I think it does take a toll on us as young men. I only turned 27 the day, and it's quite straining having a multi-million-pound business and people trying to ruin it whilst you're trying to be creative and put on great shows and tour the world. It's a very difficult thing. But I think actually it's been our fans that have motivated our desire just to not throw it all in, because I think we definitely had those conversations over the last few months where we just thought, fuck it, this is getting too much now, let's just walk away from it. And then something incredible will happen and you'll go and play a show that, you know, you realise what you miss out on. It's not the fucking fancy major label dinners, it's not the award ceremonies, it's not fucking people bigging you up online. It's that human interaction where you're in a room on stage, stuff that you wrote that was so personal and, you know, something that you never thought would translate in the way it does, and then suddenly you get these people that in the crowd that they're their songs now. And I think that's music is one of those powerful tools which I don't really know how it can be replicated. You know, I know there's other art forms, but the power of the musician and the listener and that relationship they have is something. So that's what always brings us back in every time things get difficult. So that's why we're just concentrating on now we're in a good place, just making sure we deliver some great fucking tunes for the people that put us where we are, and so we can enjoy it with them.
Oh man, that's fantastic. I can't wait to hear the new stuff. I mean, in terms of, you mentioned earlier that you were hoping ideal scenario like spring next year. Do you reckon we might hear some sort of new music by the end of this year, or when would you think people would be hearing stuff?
Honestly, we're in a position right now where we can't do anything publicly until we're out of certain situations. In an ideal world, you know, we would be able to, because we're not actually touring that much between now and the end of the year, which is why, you know, we're all pretty confident that if we wanted to, we could really spend the remainder of this year making a record and have it ready for spring, summer of next year. I'm very confident that we'll definitely have music out in the spring of the new year. Whether it's a whole record or not all remains to be seen. But you know, I think the main thing, as I said to you before, was for us not to leave it too long, and, you know, just make sure that whatever we put out, I think we're not, again, it's that, almost with that whole streaming service now, it's sort of like, we could put out one song, right, say on one Friday, and then a month later put out a completely different song that sounds completely different to that last one, and it doesn't need to be that thing of, are they putting out a record, and how does it work, or if we put out an EP or whatever, a mixtape or whatever we decide to do with it. And I think that's what we're finding really exciting, is the sort of the avenues that we can take it. I mean, when I look back at some of our most popular songs across records, you know, we've always done quite well with writing nice, chilled out, slow songs, and maybe we'll do a whole EP of just that, or maybe we'll do a whole EP of really hard-hitting rock songs. We don't know yet because we're not really there yet, if that makes sense. But we love the idea that we could essentially do anything and just release it without there having to be too much overthinking of it. But yeah, first and foremost, most important thing is for us just to write good music and put it out there for people to enjoy.
Awesome. So, as you just heard, Josh was not holding back in that interview. Firstly, it's crazy. I mean, you know, he expresses disappointment with Night People, that maybe it wasn't the album that they should have made, and it didn't do the things that they kind of hoped it would when it was in the planning stages. I think it was very brave of him to say all of this, and then the promise as well of new music as well. Jack, what did you take away from it?
I took away, the most interesting part for me was the fact that Night People came out this year, and like Josh was talking like a man who's had an album out for like maybe 2 years, 3 years now, and just going, yeah, we've got it. Like, this is an album which is still fresh in people's minds. Like, a lot of people, it is their album of the year. And to be that honest about something which is still very fresh for you, like, it just sounds like it's not been the easiest period for the band, which is really sad to say, because like Yumi are one of the leading lights of British music, and they have been for the past 10 years. But it's nice to hear that like there's ambition in his voice as well. There's a lot of, like, he didn't hold back. That was the thing. And I think to be in that position where you're not scared to talk about like why things have gone wrong, but to also know that it's going to push you forward to do something more.
Yeah.
Like, and them saying that now, like, like that can break the mold and just constantly write and constantly create and do what they want. It's just like it makes you feel as though UK rock's in a good place again.
Yeah.
When the bands are able to be this honest with themselves and not feel like they're stuck in a system.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, we've had bands who've come back from the brink to become even bigger and better, and that could happen to Unit 6. You know, I mean, we've had Architects. I mean, I like it personally, but they stumbled with the Here and Now, and now they're one of the most respected, biggest metal bands probably on the planet. You know, and you've had the same thing with While She Sleeps this year when they self-funded You Are We, and it charted in the top 10 in the UK. I mean, bands can come back bigger and stronger, and I think hopefully that'll happen with Unit 6. Tamsin?
I mean, I think a really important point to take from that interview, something that really struck me actually when I was listening to it, is obviously they went away for a few years after Cavalier Youth to sort of write and focus and try and decide what band they wanted to be and what album they wanted to make. And Night People was, you know, the end result of that. And that was meant to be the album that was like, we're back, we're doing this, we're never going away again, this is it, we're going to go like bigger than ever before. And they like, when it came out, like everyone saw how much they were pushing it and believing in it. And then for Josh to say in the interview a few months ago, we were close to calling it a day, like it kind of shows what a difference those 7 months have made.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and like as he kind of tried to explain, a lot, by the sounds of it, a lot of really shit stuff has been going on with the bands, like behind the scenes stuff that fans and like people like me and you, we don't really think about, we don't really see, we just, you know, see what they make. You don't understand obviously all the like nasty stuff that can go on in this industry, and it sounds like they've finally got, you know, they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They're getting through all the rubbish stuff that's been keeping them from doing what they want to do. So I really, really hope what comes next spring is finally who they really are and what they really want to do, because I felt so like disheartened and sorry for just like, I just wanted to give him a hug at the end of listening to that interview, because he just feels so disheartened because they had so much belief in this, that Night People was going to be their album. And it's just not happened for them.
That's it.
And that's not necessarily their fault. It's, you know, there's obviously stuff going behind the scenes, which is, you know, it's not worked out for them. So I really, really hope that they can figure it out and get something out to us.
I think it's going to be fine. Like,
I think it's going to be fine. Well, I mean, we've got the promise, as Sam said, you know, we've got the promise of new music next spring, as long as everything's straightened out. We don't know how they're going to release it and that sort of thing, but he's saying that that is the hope. I'd love to see something like a kind of more now mature and the kind of modern day version of Unit 6 version of the Sinners Never Sleep album, in that that was so varied. And I actually, a bit of the chat didn't make the cut. I said to Josh that you can't put a label on that album because there was so much going on, and he was saying, you know, like, well, that was kind of us finding our feet and working out which genre we want to, you know, fit into, but and finding our sound. But I think now, because they've got that experience, that maturity, they could do that again, but nail it across the board, you know?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's that right balance of being what made you big, but also not being tied to that. And I think there are bands who has the confidence and the ambition and the drive to be able to do that now, and I think they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
I agree.
It's simple as that. Like.
Totally agree. And we wish them the absolute best with it. I mean, we can't wait to hear the new stuff. Just to finish up as well, Reading sounds pretty crazy, right?
I mean, yeah, they've by the sounds of it, there's going to be some pretty special guests.
Yes,
on that stage for them, isn't there?
Yeah, something's happening.
I was looking at the lineup, and I mean, I don't know, like, I just, they could pull from
there
anywhere.
There are so many possibilities with that lineup of what could happen, and it's just like, I don't want to look at it and be like, oh my god, it could be this, because then I'll get my hopes up, and if it doesn't happen, then I'll be so.
What's your dream?
I would like to, it won't happen, but Jimmy Eat World are playing on the same day, so if they could, you know, do a mashup or something, I don't know how it would work, but if they could make it happen,
a Jimmy Unit 6 mashup,
I'd be really happy with that.
Medley, that'd be sick. I'm gonna go. We mentioned him earlier, but I'm gonna go with Loz from Rush Sleep, Sam from Architects, doing the scream at the end of The Consequence. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be sick.
A long time ago, they got Winston from Parkway Drive and Vigil from The Ghost Inside to do it, and it was one of the sickest things I've ever seen. So yeah,
you know what I would really like to see as well is maybe one of the acts from the One Extra stage. Like they've played around with like that scene before. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get a big grime artist on stage.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Be well good. Jack, just quickly.
Zeal and ardour. Straight up, just, yeah.
Guys.
So many possibilities.
You know what to do. Awesome. So, yeah, all the best to Josh. Brilliant stuff. Cool. So, it's that time for listener questions. To kick off on Twitter, at C3P_O, which we absolutely love. What's the best show you've ever been to? Tamsin?
I didn't really pick a show for this. I picked a set.
That's fine.
That's all I could think of.
Yeah.
Kind of just, I think every episode I'm just going to talk about Jimmy Eat World. Because when they played Reading Festival, I think it was 2014, it could have been 2015, I can't exactly remember, but they played Futures in full in the pit stage, which is a medium-sized tent, I guess you could call it. And they didn't actually confirm it, that they were going to play Futures in full. It was just they were doing the tour in America at the time, and everyone was like, oh my god, what if they do it, what if they do it, what if they do it? And they came on stage and they were like, 10 years ago we released an album, and I screamed so loud my friend literally looked at me like, I am not with you.
She transcended.
Who are you?
Yeah.
And then I pretty much just cried from start to finish.
Amazing. That album's a banger as well.
Yeah.
Possibly best Jimmy album, actually. Low key.
It's my favourite Jimmy Eat World album, hands down. So as soon as they started playing it in full, I was just there like, oh my god, I'm feeling so many
Night
things.
Drive, you were just done.
Oh, as soon as 23 started, that was
my
it.
god, don't get me started on
Mate,
23.
Saw
honestly.
my friends from university, and we were both just like sobbing.
So, you know on people's birthdays when they do turn 23, a lot of people
Yeah.
play Blink.
Yeah, I did Jimmy when I
sat on my own in my kitchen with this massive bottle of Prosecco, just listening, and all my housemates like going, oh, happy birthday, what you go? And I just put this on and just drank from the bottle, and they all just went, oh, bloody hell, Jack, this is a bit bleak.
Amazing. My shout, I was going to go, my actual best show I've ever seen is Let Live's first ever UK headline show at the Old Blue Last in 2011.
You never talk about
Well,
them.
that's the problem.
You
I
never
talk about
talk
them
about
all
them.
the time, so I'm not going to go with that. I'm actually going to go with a festival set like Tamsin, also at Reading. Taking Back Sunday at Reading 2006. I was only 14. I was lucky enough to see them on the absolute wave that was louder now, back when it was the Fred Mascherino.
So jealous.
Oh, Fred Mascherino, Matt Rubano lineup. Honestly, changed my life completely. Never been the same since. They finished with a 1-2 of Cute Without the E and A Decade Under the Influence. It was when Mate Damn Sure was massive all over the radio, and it was just one of the greatest things I've ever seen. That band in their prime was something. They're still brilliant, but that band in their prime were just something
on that
else.
album cycle they nailed it.
Oh, big time.
I remember seeing them at Give It a Name when that was still a thing.
Oh yeah.
They
I
don't
know
make
what
them
you're
like
gonna
that
say.
anymore, do they?
It was Just As Loud and Now was coming out, and it was when Adam swung his microphone around his neck, which he does, and he smacked the bass player in the head.
Yeah, Matt
knocked him
Rubano
out.
was knocked out. Blood everywhere.
Covered in
Yeah.
blood. Yeah, that was a set to remember.
Yeah, so good. So good. Taking Back Sunday, we love you. And Jack?
Easy. My Chemical Romance, Black Parade Tour, Manchester MEN Arena, just ridiculous. Like, from Gerard being pulled out on a stretcher, to the fire and the pyro join Mama, to them leaving the stage after Famous Last Words to come back out as My Chemical Romance and play basically another set. Thursday supported, like, I went with my dad, and it was just like, it was me bridging him to like my side of things, because he was like Maiden and that. I said, do you want to come and see My Chemical Romance with me, Dad? And he thought it was nonsense, but I just like looking back, just that band were untouchable, like, and they continue to be it, and they're sorely missed now. But on that tour, like, my God, ridiculous show.
A band.
I feel very privileged to have seen that in full, and just the effect that it has on people now. And I was just like there, like, with my little spiky hair, like throwing the horns for an hour and a half, like trying to fit in with everyone. And Thursday were great too, I guess.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Easy stuff, man. Great shouts. At We All Go Mad asks, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? I'll take the reins on this one. We're going to stick with emo, actually. This is a very emo answering session. The U's, The Taste of Ink. I think that's...
Banger.
Absolute banger.
Yeah.
That song is the best song of the entire emo era, I think, which is mad.
Absolutely. What?
Yeah, I know.
Claims unite.
I stand by it though. Like I you know, the amount of ludicrous tunes of that era is it says a lot that is, in my opinion, the absolute pinnacle. I mean, it's got one of the best choruses of all time on it. It rages, but it's melodic, it's moving. Burt McCracken's vocal performance on it is unbelievable. If you like anything across that entire spectrum, you have to own this song and listen to it on repeat. It's one of the greatest songs ever written, I think, and co-written by none other than John Feldman, who always comes up. So yeah,
the master of everything.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah,
like Feldman's done everything.
He really has.
Yeah.
Love him.
Love him. Brilliant. Absolute banger. Taste of Ink. Amazing. Jack?
I'm gonna go for Take This to Heart by Mayday Parade, mainly because, for one, Alessian Romantics is a flawless album which has only improved with age, like a fine French wine, but like mixed with tears. But I choose that one because, rather than obvious choices, because I just think it's got the most beautiful build to it and different layers of just emotion that Derek like bleeds into the song. And like I'm pretty sure at times, like when I did first list that album, I went through that song again and again and again, and even 10 years on, it's still as perfect as it was then. And yeah, I'd happily sit on the desert island and just have that on CD single and just keep playing it until I went mad.
Amazing.
I'd even let my little football with a face on it. He'd love it as well.
Absolute banger. And Tamsin?
I've gone for something that's not really, it's not Jimmy Eat World. I have gone for The Dangerous Summer with Weathered.
Oh, left field turn, but huge. Yeah.
I had a bit. When I saw the question, I was like, there are so many answers for this question, but yeah, that album is just ridiculous. Like, I still listen to it pretty much on a daily basis, and Weathered is just a stunning piece of work. It's like you said with Mayday Parade, like, when you're listening to an album, there's always like one, maybe two songs that you like, you listen to it first time and you're like, hang on a minute, and you go back and you play it again, and then you play it again, and then you play it again, and you just listen to it. And I've listened to it so many times now, but I will never ever get bored of Weathered. It's really emotional. It's really like quite dark, and it's a sad song, and it's not the upbeat, jumpy choruses that feature on the rest of that album, and I just think it's beautiful.
Amazing, bangers all round. And to finish up, we're going to do our usual just one line answer. On Instagram, Killing Me With Chemistry asks, favourite all-time Low album? Tamsin?
So Wrong It's Right.
Don't Panic.
Don't Panic.
Yes, get in.
We've got it 2-1.
We overlapped last week as well, didn't we?
Reason will prevail.
Awesome. So just quickly to promote the magazine, Shopify plug. You can buy the Neck Deep bundles. Are on sale at shop.rocksound.tv currently, and the print version of the magazine is now available to buy in UK stores. Along with Neck Deep on the cover, it also features on MGK, fan questions while she sleeps, Straight From The Path, My Tunes feature with Taka Moriuchi from 1OK Rock, The Gospel Youth, Saint. I did the piece for Straight From The Path actually. Just very quickly, super awesome interview. Really, like, Tom and Drew in that band are amazing voices in our world, so please check that out. And our editorial director Ryan Bird also wrote a very moving tribute to Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, so absolutely check that out. shop.rocksound.tv. So interview number 2, Miss Tay Jardine.
Tay Jardine.
Yeah, we were lucky enough, as I say, to catch the band's debut London show last Friday, and Tay came in and had a chat with us before it to talk all things about being back, a time away, and what's inspired Saint, how it's different to We Are the In Crowd, all sorts. Gave us the full scoop, all the gossip. So yeah, without further ado, Tay Jardine, Saint, here we go. So Tay, thank you so much for joining us on the Rock Sound podcast.
Stoked to be podcasting.
So long time coming.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old now. I actually end up on stage with a wheelchair and like oxygen tank.
But it's going well.
Oh my gosh,
it's cool.
It was a blast. I got chills multiple times during the show. held back tears. I wanted to puke, but I didn't. I almost tripped, but I didn't. So it actually was a great night. Yeah.
No way. Oh, I can't wait for tonight.
Yeah.
Cool. So in terms of, let's get into kind of like the genesis of Saint then to kick off.
Sure.
Like, first of all, how does it feel to be back? Because I mean, it's like you say, it's been 2.5 years since the last London shows. Like, how's it feeling?
It feels free. It feels great. It feels like it really feels like I'm doing this for the first time in some ways, but then there's something in the back of my mind that goes, well, you got this and you're more confident now because you have done it before. So there's like this mixture of like more confidence mixed with like excitement because it's something so new and it's starting now. So yeah, it's an interesting feeling, but it's great.
Awesome. And did you feel like you needed that break as well? Like once you put
my God, yeah.
In Crowd on hiatus, like was that something you really needed? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize I needed it until maybe 6 months ago. I mean, honestly, I didn't realize how important that break was for me mentally, physically. Like, I mean, I decided to take that time and work a lot, even on my voice, you know. So the physical time off was incredible for that, and then just mentally to be like a real person, not on the road all the time, was just really fun and exciting and eye-opening for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. So in terms of We're the In Crowd as well, like did you feel that it just kind of wasn't kind of what you wanted to do anymore at that point, and you needed to do something a bit more true to what you were interested in? Or
that's true, but like at the same time, like it was hard to decide that. Like the want, like something that I want to do, like I've always wanted to do We Are the In Crowd, and I've never not wanted to do it. I just knew that I also wanted to do something more and something else. So it was just a matter of deciding what's the right thing, what's the right want at this time, you know? So, I don't know if that makes any sense.
No,
but that's kind of how it felt.
Awesome, cool. So in terms of like when you started to put Saint together, it did just feel a lot more kind of natural at that point and kind of just something much more, I guess, that you were more stoked about really in terms of songwriting. Yeah, and
really, it's a natural feeling. It's something that like, I mean, honestly, there was moments where I was against the idea because I thought that it wasn't in me, or I thought that, maybe we can just push these songs into making them more of a We Hear the In Crowd vibe or something like that. And the more that I would think like that, the less it seemed worth it, to do something like that. So, it's just so natural.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess as well, like when you started to put the songs together, there was kind of you really took your time in putting everything together. Was that because you wanted it to be, when you came back, did you want everything to be absolutely perfect?
Yeah, totally. There was a lot of like perfecting everything because we had the time. There was no like rules saying you can't, you have to put it out this time or whatever. Like, there's no label. There's no, like, top guys saying, like, this is the right way to do it, or change this picture, or don't wear that. It was just like, I can spend the time and figure out how I want this to look and work with the people who are behind the project with me to just perfect it. Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, I guess having that kind of extra time and you didn't have those limitations of, say, a label and that sort of thing, was that a much kind of more free experience?
Oh yeah, totally.
And did that affect the songwriting?
No, because that decision wasn't made. That decision was made after.
Oh, I see.
The songs were written. But I mean, they were still written, in that, free or liberating feeling, with those feelings, because it was during the songwriting when all of these ideas came about.
Yeah.
To make and create Saint.
Cool. So I guess as well then, in terms of what you were writing and that sort of thing, like what was kind of inspiring that? Because with Smile and Wave, it's very pop, it's like you've really embraced your pop stuff. Because obviously there was a lot of that in We Are the In Crowd, but you've really, really followed that.
I am a pop nerd. Like on the way here, we were talking about like old like CDs that we've had, and if I opened up my like CD case, that has like the pages of CDs, it's all pop music. I didn't really know a lot of the pop punk stuff or rock stuff until way later on, or even when We Are the In Crowd started and the guys would tell me like, oh, have you heard this? And I was like, no. And they're like, what? I was that kid that had no idea what anything was in the van. So now I was like I'm like, yeah, I still have Ace of Base in my thing. I have Britney Spears, I have NSYNC, I have, Aqua, like all these really like interesting interesting albums that I think just create my natural taste in music. So I think it makes complete sense that these are way more poppy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's as well lyrically, like the EP is very, it's quite defiant, and it also feels very personal. Did you feel that there were certain things that maybe that you wanted to address or settle or things like that lyrically?
Yeah, I mean, there was that conversation every day in the studio. Like,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like this one's going to be about this. Like, everyone keep that in mind, kind of thing. Like, whether it even be like the lead to sound more like that feeling or whatever.
No way.
Yeah, I think we always talked about like what the song is supposed to be about before it's just like, let's write lyrics to this one. Like, I mean, sometimes that would happen, but for the most part, I would say there's usually a theme. Yeah,
so there was a real point to everything you were saying, essentially, across the EP.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, as well, if you ever feel alone, it feels very. You're talking about difficult things, but it feels very positive as well.
That's the point.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
and because that song has such an upbeat and positive feeling, it is that song you can go to and be like, wow, like not only is she saying like she's not, I'm not the only one feeling these issues or dealing with any of these like internal battles, but this song makes me feel really happy, so it's like, yeah, it's totally supposed to be a like happy mood booster.
Awesome. And like, I mean, I guess as well, and I guess you could say it for the whole EP as well, and that it is dealing with, like you say, very sort of specific and serious things, but the way it sounds and the way it feels is so vibrant and happy.
And honestly, like, that's sort of how I feel with Saint in general. Like, we've always discussed, like, is Saint a solo project? Is Saint a band? What is Saint? I'm like, Saint is the place I go to feel better, and like, it is totally me, but it's also like an outlet. So I don't know, I really like Saint. It's cool.
Oh man, well, so do I. I mean, like, do you feel that maybe there needs to be a bit more of that as well in terms of like the music in general at the moment, because everything it tends to go to different extremes, I think. Either bands go for very sort of light fluffy themes, or they go totally the other way and it's very sort of serious, I
mean, to each their own. I mean, every once in a while I love to hear a song that's maybe not as like lyrically driven, and it just makes me feel good. So I mean, yeah, to each their own, really, is my answer to that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right. And in terms of moving forward with Saint and like, with We're the In Crowd in the past now, is that very much the plan? Like, is there going to be more Saint songs in the future?
Yeah, right now Saint is 100% my focus.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So more tours, more.
Oh, yeah. Nah, stopping today. I quit.
So after these shows, there are a lot of plans.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
And people at home can. I know I don't want to like press you to give anything away, but can people at home look out for things soon? Maybe.
Yeah.
So
I can't say too much. No.
Well, get excited about that. It's going to be awesome. And as well, you're playing. We chatted about this before we hit record. You're playing in-crowd songs a little bit in the. This isn't a spoiler because they'll go out.
That's all right. I mean, we already spoiled it by playing the first show and it going all over Twitter.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So I guess with that, is that kind of something that you?
I mean, honestly, it's just about not forgetting like where we all came from. Like, it's not like this totally is my new journey, but like it's not like I'm not putting my fingers up and saying F you, Watik. Like, that's totally not this. So it's sort of like just saying like, hey, like, I'm still about these songs too. Like, this is great. And I know that, I know that that's what they want to hear too. Like, I know that if I went to a show, this actually happened to me before. I went to I used to love The Academy Is, and then we brought William Beckett on tour with us, and I was like, man, I really hope he plays The Academy Is songs. And I'm thinking, I was like, man, but if I was a solo guy, like, I don't know if I'd want to play those. And every now and then he did, and I got that feeling, that nostalgic feeling, and I was like, yeah. So I know what it's like, and I just feel like they they deserve that feeling too.
Yeah, so I mean,
You know?
I think it's important because I mean, obviously, we've actually chatted about this on the podcast that sometimes bands do kind of bin off songs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
People kind of, or if people go solo, they just ignore what they've done.
Yeah, and it's hard to like go back because you kind of feel like you're taking steps backwards, but ultimately you're not. Yeah.
That's very cool. And so I guess as well to finish up then, in terms of, maybe future material and things like that, obviously, the EP's only just come out, so you're focusing on that. But just in terms of we've talked a lot about how the EP goes to so many different places, could Saint go, to any of those places in the future, maybe even more?
Oh yeah. Also, like I said, these songs were written almost 2 years ago. I definitely have a lot more in my life that has happened. So yeah, I would love to get in the studio tomorrow. That would be great.
Awesome. So that was my chat with Tay Jardine of Saint, or as Saint. Really, really cool. Those guys are so awesome. We had such a good chat about pop and her really following her pop side. And obviously there's always those elements of that in We Are the In Crowd. But, she's been able to follow so many different things now from that. And it really feels like she seems so happy and in high spirits. It feels like she's really doing what she wants to do now. And that's awesome. Tamsin?
Yeah, I think it was a really good interview actually, and I think there's a few things I took from it. One being, she said she wasn't really into the idea of doing Saint when it first became a sort of a thought that got put out there, and I think that probably comes down from her own confidence issues, really about being the sole member. I guess we're still not really sure if it's a band, if it's a solo project. She just, as she said, it's just a place she goes to feel better, which I think is a really nice way to approach a new project.
Very cool.
Like she said, it's very freeing, it's very liberating, just to write how she feels and and put these incredible pop melodies along it. So I think, We Are the In Crowd did a lot. They toured the world. They ticked off so many things for a band to do, but I feel like Saint is going to be a lot bigger. I think partially because it can appeal to so many people. There's people that will like rock music but also really, really have a guilty pleasure towards pop. They're going to enjoy it, but people outside of the rock world, I think Saint has the possibility to go mainstream as well, and that's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
I think there are so many possibilities with the project, and it's nice to see her so excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think this could go massive as well. Smile and Wave, bit of a banger, Jack.
Every time I hear that, I just think of Madagascar with the penguins.
Smile away, boys.
Smile I can't, every time I see it, hear it, whatever, I just think of penguins.
Oh, now, thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
I love penguins, so I'm not really.
It's a very good thing.
I'm not really that angry.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah. Smile Wave, it's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
It's great. I think the thing which picked up when Tay was talking about it is it works very much on the same levels that After Laughter does, the new Paramore album, in that she's made this such a joyous, fun, multicoloured, vibrant world for herself, but she's really opened up about how hard the past few years have been for her, and going through the confusion of what she wanted to be or who she wanted to be and what she wanted to do. And I think it's something which is resonating with a lot of people. We'll talk a little about the show last Friday.
Oh yeah.
Which me and Will were at, and to see that many people, for me, the biggest part was how devoted the people are towards Tay and following her in this new direction. The queue to get pictures with her and sign in that Hoxton Bar and Kitchen, that's full name.
Yeah, full name, nice.
Full name. Was just ridiculous, and people were just loving it. You could see in her face just how much it meant, and you could see on stage as well how much it meant as well. She was just loving being in the spotlight, the multicolored spotlight.
Yeah,
because there were so many lights.
Oh mate, yeah, and the atmosphere in there was electric.
Yeah,
I thought
and for I know it's second show as well for this new project, but you can tell the experience of We Are the In Crowd shines through with her. She's a professional, but she's also, you could tell how much it meant for people singing along to these new songs and going off to these new songs.
Oh yeah, they were grinning on stage, and it was just such a good vibe,
Yeah.
wasn't it? You could tell they just wanted to be there and nowhere else.
Yeah,
you know?
and
Like,
I think going forward, like to be able to do that, to come over here and play your first 2 shows ever in the UK and get that reaction, like the night before was at the Soup Kitchen, best venue name ever.
Oh, yeah.
in Manchester. Like it's just great and it just bodes so well for the future.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like, and just speaking to her and hearing you speak to her, like she's just so open about like who she is now and confident, and that's just going to keep going bigger and better and just going forward. I really hope that people outside who aren't already on board with Saint but were with We Are the In Crowd to get involved as well and like cherish this as much as they did that band.
definitely, yeah, and definitely more to come. I mean, I know Tay didn't reveal anything, but I get the sense that we're going to be hearing a lot more of Saint very soon. Talking to Joyous as well, dance moves, Jack, on Friday.
I mean, right, I think it's just when I really like something, the shoulders come out.
Yeah, it was your eyes shut and you started moving. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just do it because it's like, you know, and as well, I just like, I don't know, when you stood at the back of the room as well, like with a view, you know, 'cause,
Free reign.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's close to the bar.
I'm
as
really
well.
sad I missed out on it. I am so sad.
Like, you've seen me dancing.
I've
at
seen
shows,
you
haven't
dancing. I've seen you at silent discos at festivals over the summer has been a highlight for me. Can confirm Jack's moves are excellent.
They were brilliant. It was the first time I'd seen them, and as soon as Lighthouse came in, he was. I mean, it's a slow jam anyway, and he was just grooving away.
Well, I
so.
mean, mate, you've only
Having a little shimmy.
tip of the iceberg, mate. There's, like,
Oh, by the time they dropped Rumour Mill at the very end, you were. I think
yeah.
we're going to run the pit.
yeah. I mean, like, I considered it. I thought there was a part of me going, is there a crowd surf in me? But I thought, no, save it for another
I would
day.
have loved to have seen
Save
you
it
crowd
for
surfed at a Saint show and just high five Tay.
Oh,
as you.
be so
Well,
good.
I
Next
didn't,
time.
I didn't want to be the one guy, you know. Like, there's always the one, and yeah, I'll save it for the next time. I'll save it for Brixton when that eventually.
That's the
happens,
one,
you know.
man. So yeah, shout out Tay, shout out Mike, shout out Cam, all those guys, awesome. So weekly feature now. Tips from hosts, RS shouts. This week, to tie it in with what I've been talking about with Saint, we're going to do our favourite project when someone from a band who have been much loved has started something new. So I think Jack, start with you.
Mine is Issues.
Oh, good shout.
If you didn't know who Issues were, who this brilliant band are, they started life, some of the members as Woe Is Me, who brought out some absolutely brutal riffs in the early not the noughties, in the early 10s it was.
Yes.
And then there was a bit of discontent in the band and they split off. But then from that Issues was born, which is this perfect hybrid of like pop sensibility and new metal worship, and like it just molds together into this absolutely amazing band, unlike anything else people are doing. The debut self-titled album is near perfection. Tyler Carter's voice is like caramel.
It's like it was made from angels.
Oh yeah, like and when he fully goes for it, when he goes full like Whitney or full like full like Justin Timberlake, it's just like
full JT.
Yeah, like I think like they've got new album should be coming very, very soon. But I'd say get on the train now, like because they are just stunning.
Yeah, if you don't know Issues, check them out. They're unlike any other band. And actually, talking of best shows ever, their debut London show in 2013 is up there for me. That went off, so that was mental.
Yeah, just to point out, if you do want to have a starting point, start with that first EP.
Oh yeah.
Start with go straight on King of Amarillo.
Yeah.
Like perfect.
Black Diamonds is an absolute
perfect pit song.
I'd say it's a classic now, actually. Yeah, Black Diamonds, banger. Tamsin.
I'm going to go for a slightly off the wall kind of someone that's not maybe directly involved with our scene, but is still very much relevant. It's a man with exquisite eyebrows called Charlie Simpson. For those of you who don't know who Charlie Simpson is, he started life in the now revived band Busted, who are kind of like they were a pop band, they were a pop band with guitars essentially.
They all play guitar, didn't they?
Very, very controversial back in the day. I mean, I was 11, 12, I think, when they came out. So it was a long time ago. Charlie then left and started a new band called Fight Style, which was just like disgustingly heavy. And they put out some incredible albums. I've been re-listening to Grand Unification
what an album.
A lot recently.
Banger.
And I love them. I thought Fight Style were great, and I really, really enjoyed everything they put out. And then he's a man of all trades, is Charlie. He decided to go solo and kind of focus on the music that he grew up listening to, and produced some stunning albums on his solo record. I think he's got two. He's got two, and then he released one before rejoining Busted a couple of years ago, which was kind of live versions and a few B-sides as well, which you need to go and listen to because they are all absolutely stunning. And if you like This Wildlife, any sort of acoustic-y, Elder Brother, those sorts of bands, if you like that music, go and listen to Charlie Simpson solo records because they are just beautiful.
For sure, brilliant shout. Finish up, I'm going to go with Head Automatica. Daryl Palumbo of Glassjaw. Glassjaw are a turn of the millennium, I get like post-hardcore, kind of emo, screamo bands that completely redefined everything, basically, and they've influenced everyone from Let Live to Don Broco to Bring Me the Horizon in the modern day scene. So their singer Daryl, he kind of stopped Glassjaw after 2 albums, and he came back with this project called Head Automatica that complete left field turn. It's basically a pop band with this album called Decadence that is just a dance floor monster. Like, you might know a song, if you don't know the band, you might know a song called Beating Heart Baby.
Banger!
Yeah, total banger. Like, as I say, it's just an absolute dance floor destroyer. Like, it is pop perfection, that album. And then they followed it up 2 years later with an album called Propaganda, which is a bit less electronic and kind of neon and dance floor like, and just straight up pop bangers, basically. There's a song called Graduation Day, which is just an absolute 12 out of 10 tune. I think anyone into bands of the modern day, like Waterparks, we talked about Chapel last week, and then even sort of more pop punky bands, but who lean on the poppy and melody side of things, like With Confidence and things like that, you can all get on board with Head Automatica. Like, they're so open in so many different styles, and just the choruses and the melodies, man, like, they're so cool, you know, and those albums are over 10 years old now, and they just both still stand up. Daryl is just an absolute genius of a vocalist, hooks for days. Head Automatica, check him out. Awesome. So that brings us to our final interview. Very special. You've been asking for him, Mr. Dallon Weeks. His very secret project. It's based by Panic at the Disco, and he's been playing shows with Ryan Seaman, ex-Fallen in Reverse drummer, under this moniker called I Don't Know How, But They Found Me. And it's generated this crazy, mental fan following to the point where a massive fan website's been created, but there's still been so much mystery, and a live album, a kind of bootleg live album's been put together of live recordings of the songs that have been playing. It's absolutely insane, taking on a life of its own. So what did we do? We went and spoke to Dallon because we wanted to find out exactly what this is, when we're going to hear music, what's going on. And he was an absolute dude and let us do it. And we had a brilliant chat. So here we go. World exclusive, Mr. Dallon Weeks. I don't know how, but they found me. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Like, it's a real pleasure to have you on. So yeah, I guess what we want to talk about then is I don't know how, but they found me. We're massively intrigued by everything that's going on with it. So basically, just what is it?
Well, it's a little project that I've been working on kind of in secret for the last year or so. I've ended up with some time on my hands and a whole backlog of songs and ideas with no real outlet to use them in. So I just created one in my spare time. I made a record, went to a bunch of friends, places that had like studios that were willing to like give me an hour here and an hour there to piece this thing together. And my friend Ryan, who I've known for like 10 years, came in to do the drums on the record. And I've known him for like a decade, but we rarely get to see each other. He was in a similar situation as me, working and touring for another band. So we just got to talking about wanting to do something in our spare time. So that's sort of how the idea of working together came about. But But yeah, it's been fun so far, and it's been kind of fun to see the reaction of this, of fans finding out about what we've been doing secretly. So.
Oh man, that's so awesome! No, it's really, really cool. And so going on what you've said, then, so a full album is done.
Nearly. I mean, it's been a process just because I don't really have a huge budget for this thing. And my skills at recording on my own are pretty limited. I've been learning over the last year, but I still don't. I don't know it all. That's for sure. So it's nearly finished. I could have called it finished a while ago, but I recently wrote a song that I really want to add to the record. So I'm putting the finishing touches on that one right now.
Awesome. And in terms of sound, then, because I mean, I've checked out the live footage of the show at the Viper Room. It's very kind of it's very rocking and very stompy. I mean, like it's really cool. Like, what's kind of the general sound of the project?
Well, I've when I was making the record, I was listening to a lot of like Sparks and 70s Bowie and like Joe Jackson. And Oingo Boingo too, stuff like that was kind of pretty influential when I was making this record. Not necessarily wanting to sound like any of those artists, but I was listening to a lot of that stuff and wanted to create something that was in the same vein, had the same feel to it. So hopefully it's in that neighborhood somewhere.
Awesome. And is this, did you, with the project itself, were you kind of stitching this together in between stuff with Panic, or like how was it working on a time scale?
It kind of was that. Yeah, I would be writing stuff while we were on the road and, bits and pieces here and there. But it was all pretty casual because there was no, pressure to make a record. It was just something that I wanted to do. So any spare moment that I had would be, sitting down to either write or record this thing.
Awesome. And it's, as I say, I mean, we was chatting about the sort of the already sort of dedicated following the project's receiving. Even to the point of, someone's kind of bootlegged a live album of all the tracks you've been playing and everything, which is mad.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, that was really, really cool. How does that feel like to have this following already?
Well, it feels really good. I mean, going into it, Ryan and I both knew that there would be fans that would come in and give us a chance, regardless of whether it was good or not. We were going to have be a little ahead of the game because of that. So we didn't want to exploit, fans, take advantage of anybody. That's kind of one of the reasons why we started playing in secret. We both wanted to, kind of find our roles and find out what this thing is going to be. So we decided to start playing around Los Angeles in secret for people who, didn't know who we were, didn't care what bands we were from, and see what kind of reaction that we could get. And so it's been interesting to see it grow naturally from that. That was kind of important for us to do, to be as honest about exposing it to people as we can, and to have it grow as naturally as we can too. Because we knew that we would have, people coming in regardless. So.
That's very cool. And in terms of obviously you mentioned Bowie and Oingo Boingo and artists like that. Is the project a way of kind of fueling those personal musical passions of yours that maybe that are separate to Panic, and the same for Ryan as well?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is. It's like I mentioned some artists, that I was listening to at the time. And while I regard that stuff as influences, I really feel like, there's artists that I love that I don't necessarily want to sound like. But influences come from everywhere. And a lot of the time they're even subliminal. It might be like an old song from Sesame Street or something like that you saw when you were a kid,
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. So it was a lot of different stuff. Kind of, it was just. It sounds like you, when you were writing these songs, you know, you were very inspired by so many things. Then.
Yeah, it comes from everywhere. It comes from movies and television and books and anything that I, you know, kind of consume, whether on purpose or not. You know, that those things kind of sink in and inspire the art that you make.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of the name of the band as well, like where did that come from?
That came from the film Back to the Future, which was a really favorite of mine growing up. It's that moment when Doc Brown realizes that the Libyan nationalists have found him in the parking lot of the Twin Pines Mall at the top of the movie. I always really liked that phrase. It was a movie I really love. It's probably my favorite movie, but that phrase in particular always kind of stuck with me. I'm like, such a cool sounding phrase. It sounds like there's more behind that sentence than the movie lets you know. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, as soon as you said it, actually, I could imagine the quote in my head. So yeah, no, it's very cool. and in terms of the recorded music, obviously you're still finishing things off. But is the plan to maybe get something out there to people this year?
Yeah, as soon as possible, really. I mean, it's something that I've been working on for a while, and I hadn't really planned on, you know, making it this public as early as it's been, but fans have started to find out what we've been doing and showing up to shows, and so it's kind of made us put everything into high gear and try to get it out there as quickly as possible, but in the most effective way possible as well. I mean, we want this thing to be as successful as it can be, you know, so we're trying to hurry, but also be smart about it. So.
Yeah, definitely. So when you kind of started coming up with ideas and plans for the project, then you didn't necessarily kind of know that this was going to happen. And this is all kind of a nice surprise in a way.
Yeah, that's definitely been the case. I mean, there are things that we knew to expect. You know, like I mentioned before, we knew that there would be Panic fans and Falling in Reverse fans that would come and check us out and give us a chance because of that. So we wanted to be respectful as we could to, you know, the bands that we were playing for, and as respectful as we could to those fans too. It would have been very easy to sort of, you know, do a press release and advertise and say, hey, come check out this thing we're doing. But there was something about that kind of felt disingenuous to me. I think it's a lot more meaningful when you're able to discover a band on your own, you know? Yeah,
definitely. No, completely. I mean, and that's the thing. That's one of the things that's so cool about this is that it really does. It feels so kind of natural, you know. I mean, we've had people, you know, writing into us asking, you know, oh, when are you going to speak to Dallon? Like, we want to know what this is and all this stuff, you know. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it feels like it's just kind of the sort of following, and the band as a thing has taken on its kind of this life of its own, which is really, really cool. So I mean, like, yeah, I guess and in future, like, is there sort of, are there going to be more shows, or is it just kind of you're just finishing off the album, or kind of what's the plan?
It's kind of both right now. We're doing a little run of shows at the end of this month, kind of a miniature tour. It's only like 4 or 5 dates across a couple of states, and because you know we're not a big institution yet. We don't have a van or thing. We're borrowing things. It's a very DIY operation.
Cool.
Right now. So everything that we're doing is on a pretty small scale, but we're trying to get our feet wet, cut our teeth, so to speak, and just get busy, because we do want to put the record out as soon as possible, and we want to play as many shows as we can too. So both of those things are important to us.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to hear the recorded stuff. Like, it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get it out.
Awesome. So, hopefully that gives you all the answers you've been asking for. Jack, like, big, yeah?
World exclusive.
Yes.
I was smashing these out. I've been watching all you lot, like, lose your little minds over Dallon this week. and the dedication to this is ridiculous. And to hear like how much passion he's got, and how in some cases he didn't even really know these things existed. Like he's just been doing his thing and making music while this thing has been building around him. And for you to be able to tell him about these few things and him go, oh, that's awesome, is really cool. I think as well, what I really like about that chat was that he's very honest that it's going to be something quite different. And I think it's going to be something that people aren't really expecting. And I think that, you know, coming from the Panic background, like people expect a certain level of like sass or a certain level of just like pop sensibility. But some of the influences he was going for, like the best band name ever, Oingo Boingo.
Mental. I know. I did not expect that. Yeah.
Like, Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, and like 70s Bowie as well. I mean, I think you're right. I think that anyone who's a Panic fan can get on board with this because it's got that slightly glam edge and that kind of, you know, that sort of neon-y cabaret feel, but it is something totally different as well.
Yeah, and I think it's so exciting to see what's actually going to happen with it. Like if an album's coming, like what form it's going to take, like when he actually plays shows, how mad this is going to be. Like this is a phenomenon in the making,
mate. It's just taken on a life of its own. I mean, like I think he just sounded surprised the entire chat. You know, it was crazy. Tamsin.
I mean, I love that he doesn't even know himself like how big a deal this has become.
yeah.
And I think their band name just kind of sums it all up. Like he literally doesn't know how all the fans have found out everything about them.
Yeah.
But I also love how sneaky they've been with things. I remember when I first started seeing the name around, and I was like, "What is this?" Did some googling, did some researching, and I was like, "All right, Dallon's up to something."
Yeah.
And like for example, their live show in LA at the Viper Room, they didn't really announce it as a band, as it wasn't him going, my new band is playing here on this date. There was like a photo went up of a guy just eating in a room which is in one of their houses, and there was in like the top right corner in like the far wall was the poster for the show.
Amazing. And
it was just like, oh, here's my housemate eating his breakfast, and it took like quite a few people to be like, hang on, what is that in the corner? And like that is the only bit they did to announce that show, and it was just like, well, you're just gonna have to turn up and find out, aren't you? And I've watched videos, and like Dallon's glittered up, and before they even start the performance, he comes on and does like an introduction, so it's like a circus act. He's like, you know, prepare yourself for the show. Like it's very dramatic. He hits some incredible notes. And it's really like the whole thing is very, very dramatic, a little bit Panic-esque, you know, how Brendan is a showman.
Yeah, he's definitely taken influence. Yeah,
he's doing it in his own way, and as he said, it's a very DIY operation. Like he doesn't really have a budget. He's just kind of doing it and seeing what happens. And I think that's a really nice way to go about it. He doesn't want to, you know, mug off any Panic fans. He just wants to make music and do his own thing for a bit while, you know, Brendan's off being a Broadway star, and it's just he's just appreciating people taking their time to listen.
So cool. Yeah, I mean they've announced a miniature tour that's coming up in the States. So any US listeners, go to those shows. Let us know how they are, because we are jealous.
If you could FaceTime us, that would be really nice.
FaceTime us, be amazing.
Yeah. I'd say I get a feeling as though, because these are just the beginning. Like it's just the rate that it's going to go UK, it's going to go Singapore, it's going to go France. Like this is just going to go worldwide, very, very quickly. Just like it's popular demand, and I think like Dallon, just get on a plane and just keep flying. Like
just do it, Dallon.
Like
insane.
It's going to go off.
Insane, so exciting. So we can't wait to see how that transpires. But big shout out to Dallon. We hope that we've given you guys out there everything you wanted to know. So exciting. So awesome. So we're coming to an end of this week's episode. No, it always goes too quickly. I have such a good time, and it's like But yeah, shout out to the Neck Deep bundles that are on sale now at shop.rocksound.tv. And as I say, the print version of the magazine is now available to buy in UK stores, featuring Saint, MGK, Taka, loads of cool stuff. Our Scuzz TV show has also launched. Very, very cool.
It's so good.
So good.
So good.
Yep, so check that out. Be there, Scuzz, watch that. Let us know what you think. And keep checking the online. Be there with us. World Exclusives break-in. We're going to be talking to so many people coming up. This is going to be a regular weekly thing.
Just bringing world exclusives every week. It's
That's
fine,
it.
no biggie.
Just dropping them.
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
just pick them up from Sainsbury's, you know. like I love so many. Just fill your basket.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, last week, as I say, we had the Andy Biersack exclusives. This week we've got Dallon and Josh and Tay. So much more coming up. Next week we're going to be talking to the amazing, wonderful Lynn Gunn from Paris on album release day. We cannot wait to do that, talk all things album 2. We're also going to be talking to Britton Bond from Wage War to talk also album 2, those crazy album scales, bringing a bit of mosh to the podcast as well. And also it's going to be introduction of a new monthly feature that's going to be a new band spotlight. I mentioned Stand Atlantic is my favourite new band last week. So we're going to be talking to frontwoman Bonnie Fraser about all things Stand Atlantic and why you should be in on that band. So guys, it's been emotional. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe, get us on Twitter at RockSound, get us on Instagram, RockSound, Facebook. Write to us, let us know what you think. Just talk to us, man. It's going to be so cool. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. Love you.
Love you guys. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.